Oh, so yeah, so I just wanted to let you know a little bit about what I've been doing. Um, so in like when I was younger, and those of you who knew me growing up, I was a competitive gymnast for most of my childhood, and I was into track and cross country, and I weightlifted a lot, even did a couple of weightlifting competitions. Um, so athletics was my life, and I was always very fit. And then life kind of got in the way, and I got married and just started working full time, and I still ran and stayed active. But then once I started having kids, it just got harder. You start gaining weight, and in the beginning it was, I could just run it off. I'd go start running regularly, trying to eat a little bit better, and I could drop that weight. Um, and then by the time my third came, it was a lot harder to lose that weight. And I realized I couldn't just run anymore. And that's when I got really involved in working out again. And, I've done every Beachbody program and every Jillian Michaels program, and tons of, I've been every place we've lived with the military. I've been enrolled at the Y and would do classes every day. And no matter how much I was working out, sometimes 2 hours a day, it did nothing for me. I was stuck, and I would work so hard to lose that weight. And I could feel muscle underneath, like I was strong, but I just was carrying all this excess weight. I go back to when I was little. I've always loved food. Food makes me happy. I still love food. And I also am a night owl. I love to read late at night. And so I would find myself my whole life eating. Everybody's asleep, and I could just stay up and happily eat and read. And it worked it made me happy. The older I got, I realized that staying up all night and eating was just increasing the weight gain. And so I tried stopping it, but that's hard. It was really hard for me to stop something I've been doing my whole life. And then as life got more stressful, I started those late night binges were no longer fun for me. It was more, I was doing it out of control. And, and I would turn to that to deal with my stress. And then I would hate myself after. And then in the morning, I would feel sick and bloated and gross and just disappointed that I had done it again. And then, for those of you who don't know, my husband, we're military, and we've moved a lot. So in the last, I don't know, 6-7 years, we've lived in 5 different states. And so it's lots of moving, lots of changing, and losing friends and a support group. And so during that time, I also was turning to food. And then I have a son with special needs that puts a lot of stress on our life, especially when we were trying to figure out what was going on with him. And that also, I also became very depressed. So this person that I was, this athlete who just loved being fit and active, I'm now, a good 50 pounds overweight, and I'm depressed, and I'm eating through all of that, and then hating myself because I was doing it. So it was just this vicious cycle, and I was perpetually tired. And my back, I have lots of chronic back problems, and just nothing was helping. So a few years back, I had heard about a girl at my church that was a health coach. And I remember hearing about it and seeing people that were having good results and thinking, oh, whatever, I can do that on my own. Good for them, but I don't need help. I can just keep doing it on my own. And so I kept doing my little cycle of gaining weight, losing weight. And then over the last year, I ended up having ankle surgery a little over a year ago on some torn tendons in my ankle. And I couldn't work out anymore. And that was pretty much it for me. Once I was sedentary and I couldn't work out anymore. And then I was more depressed eating. And then we moved halfway across the country. And then I kind of ballooned up to my all-time highest weight, which ended up being more than what I weighed when I gave birth to 2 of my children. And it was kind of a wake-up call this last Christmas of something had to change. I was I was going to physical therapy for my ankle, and they had said, okay, next time we're going to start running on the treadmill again. And I looked at myself and I was so ashamed and embarrassed to be running in a room full of people that I never went back to physical therapy after that point. And that was my breaking point of kind of knowing that to my detriment, I was so ashamed, you know, of myself and my weight and trying to run in front of people that I was willing to, you know, put my healing on hold, just out of fear and embarrassment and shame. So I worked really hard starting January, from January to mid-March for 10 weeks. I worked very, very hard and I lost 7 pounds and I was so happy about it. And then one day I got an email from my friend who's a health coach saying, do you want to take a free course on emotional eating? And I said, yes. And then I asked her more about her program. And the more I heard about it, I thought, what do I have to lose? And I was ready for that change. And so I said, sign me up. And she did. And in the next 7 weeks after I started the program, what had took me 10 weeks to lose 7 pounds on my own. I was down 20 pounds in 7 weeks. And then I was down an additional 30 pounds in 3 months on this program. What it took me to lose 7 pounds in, 2.5 months. So this program has changed my life. And I'm just so glad that somebody had reached out to me to tell me about it, because otherwise I would still be just trying to do it on my own and dealing with that vicious cycle that I've been dealing with my whole life. So